Penguin Random House Audio presents Candle and Crow, Book 3 of the Ink-and-Sigil series, by Kevin Hearne. Read for you by Luke Daniels. Note to listeners, please stay tuned at the end of this audiobook to hear the Outtakes bonus track. Author's Note. For those of ye who are completists, ye may wish to know of a story that occurs contemporaneously with the beginning of this novel. It's called the Chartreuse Chanteuse, and it basically gives you the happy ever after for Atticus, Oberon, and Starbuck from the Iron Druid Chronicles. It's narrated by Oberon, and its events play out over the same weekend as chapters 1 and 2 of this book. By the time Al sees them again in chapter 10, they're already in their happy place. You can find the Chartreuse Chanteuse in print, ebook, or audio in a wee collection of novellas called Canines and Cocktails. As in the other books of this series, you're going to encounter a fair amount of Scots language and spellings. I did not attempt to accurately portray the fullness of Ouija Scots, but rather give you just enough to ground you in that sense of place without drowning you in unfamiliar language. There's also a character from Stornoway, which is a different dialect with its own distinct accent, but their spellings are typically standard. Here we go. Y-E is not pronounced with a long E sound. It's more like ya, never ye. This changes to ya when calling someone a name, as in, ya shite bastard. Occasionally you'll also see you when the speaker wishes to emphasize it or be formal. Your is spelled Y-E-R to reflect its pronunciation, as is yer, Y-E'-R-E, because otherwise ya might think it's pronounced like your, and we canny have that. C-A-N-N-A-E is pronounced like kenny, and it means cannot. Not is rarely used. If at the end of a contraction, such as didn't or wouldn't, the contraction is eliminated and a suffix is appended instead. It's spelled as N-A-E, pronounced like knee. So didn't becomes didn't, and wouldn't becomes wouldn't. Exceptions are don't and won't, which are used as in standard English. Dinny is used throughout much of Scotland instead of don't, but not in Glasgow, which has a well-documented exception known as the Dinny Gap. If the word not would normally just be doing its thing solo, the T is often eliminated at the end, and it's pronounced as you might imagine, as no. To make up for these extra no's, which are nots, Ouija's often opt to say no when they mean no, N-O. The V is sometimes omitted from the word give, and you're left with G-I-E, pronounced as gie. Shall we practice what we've learned so far? No. You didn't gie your wee brother a beer, did ye, ya daft tube? That's no right. To is spelled T-A-E and pronounced like T. For fun, this is changed when used in verb phrases like going to. In U.S. English, they are contracted into gonna, but in Ouija, Scots pronounce that ending vowel as a long A, so I've appended a Y to the end to indicate that. Give me a favour. I'm gonna go to the store. Head and dead are spelled as H-E-I-D and D-E-I-D, and pronounced as hid and did. Your pet rock is dead. Happened so suddenly, I can't get my head around it. My is often pronounced as ma, so it's spelled accordingly, M-A. The abbreviation for mother is maw, M-A-W. For father, we have two options, da instead of dad, and F-A-I-T-H-E-R instead of F-A-T-H-E-R. Pronounce that like feather but with a long A sound, feather. Ready for some slang terms? Dingy is a verb meaning to ditch or snub someone. It's often used in the way that Americans use the verb ghost now. Grass you up means to snitch or inform the police of someone's activities. Up to high dough means that you're very excited or keyed up about something, sometimes with the connotation of being nervous or anxious. I'm up to high dough about that exam. Not sure I did well. Damn a head in means that you're annoyed or exasperated. Hack it means ugly. Crab it means crabby. Claddy is an adjective meaning disgusting. Howling has nothing to do with wolves or noise. It means smelly. Lavy heat means toilet head, because of the abbreviation of lavatory. This is an excellent way to call someone a shithead, and I think we should all start using it. A roaster is a person who makes a fool of themselves. A stooshy is a minor row or commotion. Get to feck is the Ouija method of telling someone to fuck off. And my favorite is coupon, pronounced like coupon, which means face. This is very specific to Glasgow, owing to the old tram cars in the city where tickets, called coupons, would have to be punched. And since the thing most likely to be punched besides a coupon in Glasgow was a face, coupon came to mean face in that city. Shall we review? Shut your hackett coupon and get to fuck, ya howling, clatty, lavy heat. Late in the book, you're going to run into some Polish names, which to the English reader can look impossible to pronounce. They're full of digraphs like SZ and CZ. They switch the pronunciations of W and V. And what might look like a small t, but is an I with a line through it, is also pronounced like a W. One fellow's surname is Stigil, and you might look at that and think I'm trying to mess with you. I swear I'm not. I'm trying to mess with my audiobook narrator. I mean, I picked a school named Stabzhuzhin. He might actually sprain his tongue on that one, but probably not, because he's awesome. Hope you enjoyed this conclusion to the Ink-and-Sigil series. Thanks so much for reading and listening. Chapter 1. A Point at the Place Where They Met Last. The thing nobody tells you about having a hobgoblin contractually bound to your service is that you can't make plans. Well, you can make them, I suppose, but following through is going to be difficult, because you'll find that he's smeared bacon grease in the underwear you put on after showering, and now you have to shower again and resign yourself to being late. I pride myself on punctuality, but when the choices are to be late or to be on time and sit down with greasy bacon bollocks, the schedule's going out the window. The reason nobody told me about the thing with hobgoblins is that nobody has them in their service anymore, and I was learning why almost daily. Hobgoblins were expected to take the piss out of their employers a little bit. There had to be a downside to employing them, or else everyone would want a teleporting errand boy. The problem was that a little bit was very subjective, and Buck Foy and I had vastly different ideas about what it meant. Buck wanted to become a legend among his kind and make service to humans common again, so he approached all of his duties, including piss-taking, with the idea that it had to be legendary. It did mean that he did what I asked him to do infallibly, albeit with much complaining. But it also meant that I could never ever relax, because he was always planning how best to mess with me next. I demanded that he must be creative and non-destructive in his piss-taking, in the hopes that my property would survive, and perhaps it would slow him down. It was proving to be more creative than I'd anticipated. And largely non-destructive, I must admit, save for that pair of ruined underwear. Though I feared he might be destroying himself. He'd been drinking an awful lot, and had recently discovered that hobgoblins could get high on capsaicin, the chemical that provided the heat in any pepper you'd care to name.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?